Hello, my name is Dan Cunningham, and I used to be a bass player. My YouTube channel is focused on finger-picking guitar music and my tunes and things like that, but occasionally I get off track, and this is another one of those times. I'm going to talk about this 1960 Fender Precision Bass. I bought this bass in 1971 in Parkersburg, West Virginia, at Chuck Leary's House of Good Music. It was either $125 or $175, and it was a tobacco sunburst like they originally were. It had the guards on it over the bridge and the pickups, the finger rest, the mufflers in it, which I took off immediately to make it more playable for me. And a friend of mine had refinished his guitar, and I was impressed with that. And although I had very little experience with refinishing guitars, I sanded all that old tobacco sunburst off because it was badly worn, gouged, had cigarette burns. The belt buckle of the original owner had badly gouged the back of it. So I sanded it down to the original finish and covered it with some coats of lacquer, which held up over the years, until 1977, when the bass was in a equipment truck, I think in Terre Haute, Indiana. While we were in the hotel room overnight, it got really cold, and that original lacquer finish just shattered into hairline cracks. I never did refinish the neck, because I was afraid it would get sticky or something, since I was not experienced with refinishing. So it's still the same as it was. And as you can see, there's still a mark from a cigarette burn where the original owner stuck his cigarette on the end of his string and it burned down. Now eventually, when the bass came, it came with tape wound strings on the D and G strings at the top, and some unidentified strings on the A and E at the bottom, and especially the bottom strings did not sound very clear at all. So I think I first switched to Fender round wound long gauge strings, and it helped the clarity overall, but still not very good on the A and E string. And I noticed that the poles of the lower pickup did not align quite right with the strings, so I moved it slightly so they would, and it helped a lot. But for greater clarity, I ended up using some bargain strings that are called winders or rounders or something for a while, so I could change strings often, but ended up with rotosounds. And I played a lot back then. I played in rock band, jazz rock bands, jazz, lounge bands, show bands, even sat in with a polka band. And the rotosound strings I found were really hard and hard on the frets. I could see the actual winding of the string in the frets, and eventually it started to wear them down in kind of a V shape or a groove. And in about 1974, at Cunningham Music in Athens, Ohio, at the old location, they took a stone and went over the frets a little bit and kind of filed them down. Now it would have helped to have, for collector's value, to have the old guards and the finger rest, but somewhere along the line I lost those. I remember they were in a cardboard box, but somewhere along the line I lost them. Now I still play bass some. I'm mostly guitar, and so I've used this some, and used this on a number of recordings, which I'll try to document in the details for the video. But I also have a 1944 K C-style bass, and I also have a I have to look. Oh, I never can remember. Ibanez acoustic electric bass, which I've used sometimes. Now, some people have told me over the years, well, why don't you get a jazz bass or something else, or a one with active pickups and modernize a little bit. But I never had trouble with the getting different sounds, even though there's just a volume, a tone, and the split pickups. To get a sharper sound, just play near the bridge. Mellower sound, play up toward the neck. Pinch, snap, slap, different sounds you can get, or just by using different parts of your finger, the fleshy part or the fingernail. Different combinations. So I never worried much about that, and this bass sounded great just plugged in, even just plugged into the board. In 1977, when we were recording in Chicago, I went to the south side of Chicago. I had a custom case made for this bass with a Star Case Company, and it was great for flying and making sure your bass wasn't injured in the equipment truck, because my old Fender bass case was just disintegrating anyway. But those flight cases are awful heavy to carry. And one time I left this bass in a parking lot after a gig in Marietta, Ohio, and on a Saturday night, and left and forgot to load it in the car. And Sunday morning I woke up and realized I didn't have my bass. And I drove back 20 miles, and Sunday morning there it was sitting in the parking lot in the old brown Fender case that apparently nobody even noticed. So that was a close call. I always enjoyed playing bass, and I say hello to all you bass players out there. I know you're having fun. And for everyone, I want you to know that if you want to visit me, you can visit me where I live at www.pickndawg.com, pickndawg.